the fundamentals for a lead nurture success, I think, is definitely defining what is a quality lead to begin with. So how do you define a quality lead? Where are those organisations that you absolutely want your organisation in some way, shape or form to start to engage with, and what that level of engagement is. So you can then start to say, you know, what is the lead score of 1? What does that mean for an organisation? What is a lead score of 2, 3, etc., etc. So you can start to map out where those particular interested parties, shall we say, come into the organisation, where they actually go and what happens to them. It could be that they do something, they engage with something on a website, they see a web seminar, and they get an automated response. That's the first point of touch. What you don't need to do is you don't need, in 9 times out of 10, is a salesperson to follow straight up on those. You know, more times than not, you're marketing to a very intelligent audience. They know where you are, they know you've delivered materials, and treat them with respect. You know, understand that there's time. They need time to digest information. They need time to understand that information. So there's a real fine art with understanding how many times do I touch these individuals before we get somebody to engage with them. Because what you don't want to do is stalk these people and chase them to the point where they go, actually, do you know what? I've had enough of your organisation. So it's a very gentle way where you need to start to build that relationship up with them.
I've seen salespeople say, okay, marketing, stop talking to my prospects. I'm talking to them now. You know, at a certain stage of the funnel, I don't want you communicating with anymore. Let me control that. But I've also seen salespeople say, do you know our competitors actually talk to our prospects more at this stage of the funnel than we do? You have to help me stay in front of that prospect's mind by providing relevant content. So, you know, I think it really depends on the organization and what the rules of engagement are between sales and marketing. And then it's always going to depend on the salesperson. Because different salespeople have different ways of working and different levels of comfort with information that they can't control being provided to their prospects.
My key tips for business-to-business marketers looking at developing a nurture program is that they need a database, and they need a consistent database that is well managed, because the key to nurturing is understanding what touches and tactics you have going into that customer or potential prospect at any one time. If you lose track of that, you lose track of all of your nurturing. And then it's to keep that database up to date with comments and notes and things like that around what that customer or that prospect is feeling and what stage they are in the buying cycle at that one time. Because you can easily turn off potential prospect through a nurturing program as well as turn them on. Bombard potential prospect too much, call them too much, and then they're likely to put up their barriers and therefore not be open to the actual final discussion. So those are my key tips for setting up a nurture program.
First thing is you need good data. I wouldn't say you need perfect data before you can start. You know, all of this is really an iterative process, but you know, data, I would say, is one of the fundamental things that you need to have in order to know how to create the right program. The second piece that you need is content. And content is very difficult for a lot of companies. But actually, I see it as a really a big trend right now. I think companies have gotten the fact that they need relevant content. So a lot of companies are, you know, if they can't create this content in-house, they're using a lot of outsourced ways of creating the right content. So having, you know, the right kind of content to be able to target those segments in your nurture program is really important. And then the third piece of advice I'd give to someone who's trying to create a nurture program is just start. You know, start with one, see how it goes. You know, the great part about all this online marketing is you can always improve and optimize what you're doing. So start with one program, see how it goes, build the next program, and just keep fine-tuning it. I mean, you know, even at Eloqua, where we have, you know, all of the tools available to us, we're constantly reevaluating our programs and making them better. So it's not a one-time deal. It's something you're going to be doing over and over again.
In terms of where leads sit along the lead nurture, they can go forward, and wouldn't it be great if they all went forward along that and then they ended up in closed business? But in actual fact, what will happen is some will go forward, some will go backwards, and some will drop off completely. And I think it's very important for marketeers to recognise once somebody has engaged with your organisation, that could be through a tweet, that could be through your Facebook page if you have one, that could be through reading a white paper and you've tracked that. It's very important to recognise that they've shown an interest, they've raised their hand and go, I want to know a little bit more about your organisation. communication. Now, it's the responsibility of the marketeer to make sure that that individual is kept aware of what's going on. But this comes back to the subtlety of the approach. You know, it's not a bi-weekly communication and email out to them, but it's recognizing that you need to touch them and you need to stay in front of them. Don't let those go cold. Make sure that you are, you know, inviting them to things that are relevant and of interest to them, and personalize your communication to them. Recognize what they've done, recognize where they've come in. The technology exists to make your life so easy. Just basic segmentation to really make sure that those ones that have gone cold don't completely fall off.